So I just want to share some perspective. If you're going through a tough time and you're feeling discouraged and you're wondering what's the point, then this video is for you because I can relate. Um, I have been, I have different goals that I'm working towards, and particularly around like my career change, I have not been seeing the progress in the short term that I would like. And my intuition and the guidance I've received from my guides has been like, you're not seeing the change yet because it's not time yet, which makes sense. But I still feel, at times frustrated. Most of the time I'm fine, but sometimes I get a little frustrated about it. So I, one of the first things I did was just acknowledge that these feelings were coming up, that I was feeling frustrated, disappointed, and like just feeling like I didn't want to try so hard anymore because what's the point? And maybe there's something to that. I just want to say on one level, because if it's not the right time, it's not saying don't try at all, but maybe what I thought about for myself is that maybe my efforts need to be more intuitive or more strategic to try in certain areas or at certain times in certain ways versus trying at everything all the time. So that's something to consider and acknowledge. And I did some parts work around the part of me that was feeling frustrated and just wanting to give up. I know giving up is actually not an option for me. Like, I don't want to give up, but sometimes I feel like it. And so I've been really working on how to work with that part of myself, that um, how to work through feeling like giving up, feeling like I'm tired. I'm tired. um, and so one of the things I did to just acknowledge the part of me that feels disappointed, exhausted, feels like it's pointless, is to just to be to some non-judgmental inquiry, some curiosity with that part. So one of the first things I do is thank the part, you know, and again, this is all going on in my mind. Thank the part for showing up and ask it, what does it want me to know? And really pay attention. I think so many times when we have unwanted feelings, we want to push them away, and that creates so much struggle. And I can remember for so many years of my life, I was running from my own thoughts and feelings. Like I was feeling things that I didn't want to feel, and I didn't know what to do about it. So I would just try to push them away. But, it is like sticking skeletons in the closet. Like the closet wants to burst open with all the skeletons if you keep stuffing them in there. Like at some point, it's really healthy to open the door and start taking the skeletons out one by one. And maybe you need help to do that. Maybe you need a therapist to help you do that. I have done therapy in the past, and personally, I could not find a good therapist that I felt could help me more than I could help myself, um, for a variety of reasons. Um, but I believe they're out there. I just don't know them. Sometimes I'll hear one on like a podcast somewhere, but that's not my therapist. It's not they're somewhere off in the ether. But anyway, so I'll ask the part what it's there here to teach me, and ask it like, and so in that case, the um that part just wanted me to know that it's hard out here. It's not easy. I'm freaking tired. I don't want to keep going. When are things going to change? And I just let every negative thought that you would normally want to push away, I let it all come up and out and let myself acknowledge all of it. So important. Don't push it away. Don't try to pretend it's not there because it's going to come back even stronger. Trust me. So I really listened to all of that and acknowledge it and really take it in. Really like, what is there to learn from this? That I'm human, that it's okay to be tired. It's okay to be disappointed. I'm not going to be up all the time. I'm not going to be on like cloud nine all the time. And that's okay, you know? So I allow myself to feel that and to hear that. And then I work with that part to find out how that part would like to feel. What would that part like to experience instead of what it's feeling? And if I am no expert in parts work, I am not a therapist. But from reading Dick Schwartz's work, Richard Schwartz, who developed internal family systems and what is commonly known as parts work, one of the goals of working with your parts is to help them unburden. Now, you may not do this in a single session or interaction with the parts, but the idea is to find out what the burden is that that part is carrying and help that part just put down at least maybe part of their burden or the hope of putting down part of it in the future. It may not happen at that time, and that's okay. And just allowing for everything and just allowing is so much about like self compassion. We don't give ourselves enough self compassion. Like everything you're feeling is okay. Like, you don't have to feel great all the time, but you can take care of yourself so that you can feel better. You know, there's nothing wrong with feeling bad. There's nothing wrong with being depressed or having a bad day, but it doesn't have to be that way every day. And so it's about learning how to nurture yourself and give yourself compassion so that you can heal and feel better. So I asked the part how it would like to feel, and that part really wanted certainty. It wanted to feel um, like every to know for certain that everything's going to be okay and everything's going to work out and that all my efforts are going to pay off. Certainty, safety, security, all of that. And so I sometimes ask my parts their name. Not always. You don't have to name parts. It's however you choose to work with it. You can also feel into where the part is in your body, where the feeling is that's coming up related to that part is coming up in your body, what that feels like. There's so many dimensions to it. I think it just how you approach it is really based on what really calls to you in the moment and what calls to you in general. I think people have their own styles of working with it. Some are more somatic than others. And so I really asked the part like, what it wants, and which was like certainty and safety. And so then I work with that part to imagine a place, to create a place, to find a place where a place, a circumstance, a setting where it can experience certainty and safety. And so we did that, and I gave permission to that part to go there whenever, like as much as it needs to be there, to stay there if it chooses to. But also to let I also let that part know it can join me in my day-to-day life, but I ask that it not overwhelm me. And by overwhelm, that means when the thoughts become so intense and the feelings become so intense that I can't function. I'm overwhelmed by that part of myself. So I ask the part if it could please not overwhelm me and see if it'll agree to that, and it usually does. Sometimes it takes more work than others. And then I give it permission to go to its safe place, its happy place. And I just thank the part and let it know that I love it. So, so I did the parts work. And then I did some reframing. Because what I realized, like what I know in my heart of hearts that I sometimes forget in those moments is that this life is a gift. This life is supposed to be an adventure. Like, we're not supposed to have guarantees and know everything that's going to happen. How boring would that be if you knew everything that would work out and not work out? It would just take all the fun and excitement out of life. Like that, what you wouldn't feel like trying. That would take away motivation and passion and creativity. So I spent some time journaling and reflecting to give myself perspective on this journey of life because I truly believe that we come into this life with a soul plan, with a soul contract to experience those like vast variety and polarity, a huge spectrum of human emotions and experiences, and that you can't appreciate the sun if you never have rain, you know, and you can't truly appreciate it until have experienced both. And so the challenges, the delays, the setbacks, the disappointments, it's all for our learning and our good, and also to help us appreciate when we do get the things that we are really seeking. Um, we can have true appreciation for them, because we understand that there's something else, that there's other alternatives. And I want, like, what occurred to me is that um, I choose to look at life as an adventure. Like, it is, what an adventure to be born into this world, into a family that are essentially strangers to you when you come into the world, that you grow attachment to, that you live with, that you bond with, that maybe sometimes you don't like. Maybe if you are really born into rough circumstances, you don't have a good family, and that's its own challenge and struggle. Um, and then to go through life, like, we grow from like children to adults, and somehow suddenly we're supposed to make it in the world and create space for ourselves, create a level of abundance, and be able to survive life and create what we want. And at the same time, hopefully also enjoy some happiness along the way, some love, some joy, some companionship, some friendship. And I recognize that there are many people suffering that don't have these things, or have never had them, or feel like they've never had them. And that's a tough boat to be in. Um, but it can change. It can change. That's what I want you to know, because I relate to, I definitely have been in the depths. I have been through it. I've lost a lot and recovered from it. So it is all possible. And so when I'm having my really down moments, I really try to remember that this this thing called life is supposed to be an adventure. When you go on an adventure, like when I moved to Peru, when you go on an adventure, you don't know what's going to happen. There, that's the fun of it. Like, there's all these unexpected events, unexpected circumstances, things you never thought of. You meet new people, you go to strange places, you find out that some of your plans were like ill-advised and or don't work out. And then you get these other like happy synchronicities that happen. That's the adventure of life. And we are here for a long while. We're here for a short while and a long while. Like, life is short in the big scheme of things, but it's also long. It's about the day to day, like the day to day experience and journey and process. Um, so what I was able to do was to remind myself, like, man, it's really a pleasure to be here. Like, sometimes it is hard, but I'm here for it. I'm up for the adventure of making the most of this life. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I don't know which efforts will pay off and which ones won't. I don't know which people I'll carry through my life and others I'll have to let go of, Um, that's life. But I'm here to find out what it's about, because I could live in fear and have just a really small world of experiences, or I can open my heart and my mind and be expansive and sample, like, the whole spectrum of what life has to offer, as much as I can have access to and create access to. So that's what I'm here to do. Life is an adventure, and you can make it your own. And as someone who has gone through my own traumas and losses and challenges, I want you to know your situation can change. and maybe you need help to do it. But you're also going to need some personal work no matter what. And I don't know how to do it without spirituality. I don't know how to live a better life without a focus on spiritual life, because for me, spiritual life is at the core of everything. And that's what I want to share. Like, when things get rough, you can remind yourself that it's not going to always be easy, but that's okay. Nothing's going wrong. It's happening the way it needs to happen right now. And just believe and know that you can turn things around, that you can change your circumstance, you can change your mindset and your attitude. And I don't know if it's helpful to other people, but one of the things that I do is I love to see and hear stories of people that have changed their life after, decades of disappointment, challenge, poverty. And so I like to look up stories like that. Or I think about people living in other countries under other, I think about people living in other countries and with more challenged socioeconomic circumstances. I have traveled a bit and I've seen how people are living in different parts of the world. And as much as I might want to complain some days, I got it pretty good. It doesn't mean I can't make it better, but it's okay to like reframe and have some gratitude for where I am. Um, so I just want to share that with you because I know sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's really hard and you do want to give up, but you only have so much time on this planet. Like, let's make the most of it. Let's see what can be done. Let's find out how resilient we can be. Let's find out what happens if I really go all in on myself, on my dreams, on what it is I want, and see what happens. We really don't have anything to lose. You don't have anything to lose. I don't have anything to lose because I'm here anyway. And if time can pass and I can either find myself in the same circumstance or I can change it by truly living the adventure of life. And that's what I want to encourage you to do. I'd love to hear from you. What's your perspective on how to reframe when you have a bad day? Like, I would really like to hear how other people think about this, because it's really important to be able to have this skill and ability to do that. I like to write mine out in my journal because it helps me to reinforce it. Journaling is such a big part of my life. Um, so I encourage you to do that too. It also helps to concretize it, just like to make your thoughts and reflections solid, keep that perspective in mind, and you can also reread it when you're feeling down. Um, so, yeah, I just want to share some perspective on getting through some tough days. And if this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share. And I just want to thank you for watching. I'm Deborah, and I'll see you next time.